always tell content creators, listen, you're one video away, right? Like if this is
Yeah.
the game that you want to be in, the influencer sphere, like you're one video away from something just taking off. And the next thing you know, you go from 900 followers to 70,000 in a matter of becoming a person of value has to be more important than even the outcomes that we want to see happen. If we can put out content that is valuable to people, then the wealth or the outcome is going to follow that. Done is better than perfect.
Very good.
Very simple.
Yes.
Get it done. I can always feel when I'm not being myself and I'm not being my authentic self because the content doesn't feel like it's flowing, like it's actually coming to me naturally. It's just like I have to work at it versus once again, living in it and being the content.
Having people in your life who are not impressed by you, to be honest, is one of the best things that I would highly recommend.
Just be yourself. Know yourself and be yourself. That is where the true value lies.
Do you want to just give us a quick introduction? I'm really excited. So this is episode 2 of Creator Connect. And really, Creator Connect is for you, for the audience listening to this. You are a content creator. You're an influencer. You're an athlete. You're an artist. We just want to add value to you. And my goal is over the next 15 minutes that there might be a nugget, there might be a sentence, there might be a thought that encourages you, that lifts you up, challenges you to make you a better content creator and a better influencer. So tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah. So I go by I Hear Canvas. That's my superhero name on all social media platforms. My mom and dad, they named me Malcolm. So all my cousins, whichever one comes close to you, comes first to mind, you can go ahead and call me that. I am an influencer. I'm a DJ, I'm a speaker, producer, artist. So I wear a lot of hats. But I've been graced by God to be able to operate in those different sectors of my giftings and to do them well. Hopefully I do them well, right? But yeah, so influencer, artist, speaker, producer, and I got my start maybe about 6 years ago as far as the influencer and DJ side of things. I've always felt like I was supposed to be an artist from a young age, but my influencing and DJing probably started about 6 or 7 years ago. Started out doing weddings, just doing a whole bunch of weddings as far as DJing and maybe like making my own edits and like trying to apply them to the weddings and the industry that I was in at that time. And then I started posting online right around the same amount of time and nothing was taking off until one video does. And I always tell content creators, listen, you're one video away, right? Like if this is the game that you want to be in, the influencer sphere, like you're one video away from something just taking off. And the next thing you know, you go from 900 followers to 70,000 in a matter of 6 months, which is what happened for me.
Wow.
I went from 900 followers and just posting content and just trying to figure out this algorithm to it being where I had 70,000 followers within a span of 6 months. And then currently right now we're sitting around 2.5 around across all of our platforms. It's been just an awesome ride. And so just a little bit about me, I'm from Chicago.
Great. Yeah.
Chicago, born and raised in a Christian household. My mom and dad always had 2 principles. God is always present. Music is always playing. So I was just bound to number one, have a relationship with God. I always tell people like I grew up learning the marvelous message of the gospel and then also having the benefits of being able to learn how to moonwalk, right? Like, so those are the 2 dynamics in my household.
Oh, I love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing. I love it. And honestly, something you said that maybe you could speak into is, man, I believe in the content space anyways. I don't necessarily think that the outcome is our goal. I think our inputs and our attitudes is our goal. So, man, what am I creating? You as a producer, I'm assuming like sometimes you have really great music and then there's times where you're like, I didn't really love that. And talk to me about the creative process a little bit. Like, how do you not get frustrated? How do you not honestly even chase metrics over potential impact and honestly true influence?
I think one of the things that really has sparked me these last couple of months, like to really hone in on, is adding value. I think becoming a person of value has to be more important than even the outcomes that we want to see happen. I think because if we can become people of value, if we can put out content that is valuable to people, then the wealth or the outcome is going to follow that, right? And so for me, I've been in a place to where I'm looking at every piece of content and I'm asking the question, is it adding value? Whether it's a funny piece of content or it's music or it is a speaking engagement that I have, what value can I actually give instead of
Mhm.
going into everything thinking about what I can get from it? How can I actually give? Right. And so I think that once I started changing my mind and changing my focus on what is this giving, right? Like I think in our culture, my child, she is always like, it's giving this or it's giving that,
Yep.
right? That's kind of like the phrase.
Mhm.
And I'm always thinking about what is this piece of content giving? Is it giving joy? Is it giving education? Is it giving encouragement? And if so, those are my three boxes that I want to check off.
Mhm.
And so, but as a producer, it's very easy to overthink everything, right? I'm an overthinker. This sound is not where it needs to be. You're scrolling through countless amounts of snares, drums, and you got all of the plugins in the world, man. And one of the things that I think I've learned that has really stuck with me over the years is the idea that it's not the gear, it's your ear,
Mm.
right? It's not your gear, it's your ear. It's probably DJing for real is like 10% learning the skill and 90% being able to read the room and being able to hear things before people hear
Yeah.
things. And so regardless of whatever it is, whether you're an artist or a musician, producer, like it's not so much just the gear that you pick up and that you play or that you learn, but it's also that ear and being able to know you authentically. What are you trying to give to the world? What's your message? What are the things that you're trying to what are the things that you want to inspire others to do or to hear? Like so yeah, man. So for me, it's about number one, not overthinking
Mhm.
and and under how to bring value in your content, right?
Yeah.
And so those are the
Yeah.
things, man.
I love it. And what's fun about this audience is we have people who have 2,000 followers, and then we have people who have 20 million and
Mhm.
everything in between. So maybe even you, a couple of things here. One, maybe just encourage a content creator who's getting discouraged by, man, 2020, they popped off on TikTok and now maybe they're not getting the views they used to, or even going into 2025. What are some things that they can be encouraged by you, or even things that you're thinking about as a content creator?
Done is better than perfect.
Very good.
Very simple. Get
Yes.
it done. Whatever the content is, the book, the videos, whatever it is, done is better than perfect.
Mhm.
The more time you spend on trying to get the perfect lighting and the perfect angle and trying to do all of those things, it'll never happen. And you'll miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yes.
And I can honestly say, as one that has been in this game for a while, that it's usually the videos that we don't do all of the editing and we don't do all of the overthinking about that actually are the videos that feel the most authentic and are the ones that the algorithm is actually looking for.
Mm.
The algorithm is really looking for you. If that makes any sense. Like it's
Very good.
actually looking for the authentic you. It's not looking for you to come in and just do the trends and make things like that other people are already doing. It's actually looking for you. And as you start to actually make the content that is
Mhm.
authentic to you, your authentic audience is going to find you. Your tribe will find you as long as you continue to be you. So I think the most encouraging thing I can really share with people is find out who you are first.
Mm.
Before you put up a piece of content, define who you are, not what you do, not just you're a DJ or whatever, but what are your
Yep.
morals? What are your values? What are the things that make your personality you? And then begin to produce from there. Because if you recognize that you're the niche, you never have to follow a trend,
Very
you
good.
know?
No, that's so good. I think for all of us going into 2025 and thinking through what type of content do I want to produce or create? Maybe the better question is, who do I want to be in 2025? And
There you go.
out of that, out of the self-revelation of, man, who do I want to reach, but who do I want to be in the midst of who I'm reaching? I think that's
Yeah.
a lot of times we get so wrapped up, and honestly, as we grow, we start to see, oh, this type of version of me actually works online. This version doesn't. It's a really scary place to live, in my opinion. And I don't know if you've experienced that as a content creator, where something where you feel like, man, isn't me. How do you make sure you have checks and balances in your life where you're not becoming a false version of yourself in the midst of it? Because we all know, like, parasocial relationships, and there's, as your audience grows, then you're creating content for your community, not just for the things that you believe you're supposed to create. So how do you balance that?
Man, such a good question. I think part of it is I think part of it is number one, you have to be honest with yourself. I think honesty is a good place to start because the reality is that we've all heard that people usually are putting who they want to be in front of the screen, like who they desire to be. You don't really get to see who they actually are because sometimes people aren't comfortable with
Mhm.
being who they are. So social media has allowed for people to be able to come in and you could be whatever you want to be and say whatever you want to say and all of those things. But for me, it starts with an honest conversation, going back to number one, understanding my identity. Where does my identity lie? That it does
Mhm.
not, my identity is not defined by likes, shares, or comments. But for me, my identity is found in Christ and God. And that's where I find my true identity. So I try to have a healthy balance of making sure that as much as I'm posting, that I'm also taking a good inventory of who has God called me to be
Mhm.
and seeing if it's lining up and seeing if those things are lining up with each other. And I can always feel when I'm not being myself and I'm not being my authentic self because the content doesn't feel like it's flowing, like it's actually coming to me naturally. It feels
Mhm.
like I have to work at it
Yeah.
versus once again living in it and being the content. And so I think for me, it starts with a place of honesty and just really saying like, hey, is this me or is this imposter syndrome? Is this
Mhm.
me trying to take on a different identity that is not mine? Or because I've seen someone do something, I'm like, hey man, I should do that. And it doesn't mean that you can't get inspiration, but it just means that you shouldn't be a carbon copy of that particular person or that particular piece of content.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about being honest with yourself and understanding where you are as far as your values, your morals, and also checking your emotions. How do you feel when you're producing this content? Does it actually feel like it's you?
Mhm.
Or does it feel like it's someone else? Are you trying to copy someone else? Or are you just taking ideas and you're molding them into what you already have going on? So
Yeah.
I think for me, it starts with an honest conversation. I think also having good people, good friends, right? Good
Mhm.
accountability people that can come in and say, hey man, this wasn't it.
Yeah.
That post wasn't the greatest post, right? Or saying, or even people that like, I have a good friend that just checks in on me and says, hey man, I haven't seen you post in a
Mhm.
while. Is everything okay? How you doing? How you feeling? Because as content creators, like we're not always on, right? And there are times that uh, we do more like thinking and contemplating behind the screen when we're not on the screen or we're not editing or we're not doing those things. Like we're really going through, man. And
Yeah.
so it's good to have those friends, checks and balances, people that can come and pour into your life, encourage you, build you up, or challenge you and say, hey man, that's not it, you
Mhm.
know? And so yes, I
Yeah.
think it's a multitude of things, but I think just being honest with yourself,
It's very good.
having those tough conversations, and then also having some good accountability around you. It's
Yeah.
always good.
No, that's I mean, that's tremendous advice, and obviously we understand that there is such a vast diversity of beliefs on this, honestly, Creator Connect. But the common theme here that I love that you've talked about is you've talked about honesty, you've talked about character, you've talked about honestly creating space for you to be a human being. And I think sometimes, honestly, anyone listening to this as an influencer, as a content creator, there are moments where you are maybe creatively burnt out, you are frustrated, and having people in your life who are not impressed by you, to be honest, is one of the best things that I would highly recommend you having. That to
Yeah.
be, it's my wife. She's my checks and balances. My wife's like, "Hey,
Mhm.
that was not you. What was that?
Yes.
Delete that. Archive that." And
Hmm.
for any of you guys, man, I just plead with you. One, continue to follow along this journey with us. We just want to continue to add as much value as you can. We're gonna put all of your social links in the description. If anybody has anything going on, give them a follow, give them a subscribe. Yeah. Last thing, obviously, tell us how we can follow you, how we can find you. Maybe on the other side of it, man, what if there's something that they're like, hey, this is an awesome idea. How do I collaborate with you? Yeah, drop all your links.
Yeah, I got you. You can find me at I Hear Canvas. That's the letter I, here with your ear, and then Canvas, Canvas, on all social media platforms. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, all of the things.
Yes.
Hit me up in the DMs if you have any questions. Like I the same person that I think the greatest compliment that I've gotten, I've never done. Greatest compliment that I've had is last week I had an opportunity to speak at a leadership conference for students, and I had a really good friend of mine also be on the panel. And one of the things he mentioned in front of everyone was the fact that he knew me prior to me being a social media influencer and people knowing me and flying me across the world to go and DJ and perform and do all of the things. And he says, the beautiful thing about Malcolm or Canvas is that he's the same person that he was at 900, 700 followers. And now at 2.5, he's the same person. He hasn't changed. And so yeah, I would just want to just encourage every single content creator, just be yourself,
Yeah.
know yourself and be yourself. That is where the true value lies. And yeah, you catch me at I Hear Canvas. Come be one of my cousins on my social media platforms.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, man. We appreciate your time. And again, thank you again.
No problem. Thank you, Josh.